For this session right now, so we're going to discuss about going from UNV to UNX. So I'm presenting today with JF Caron. JF, you want to say a couple of words and introduce yourself?
Sure. I've joined Wiiisdom about 2 years ago now. Time flies. But before that, I was in the business objects ecosystem pretty much from the get-go. I started in '94, so I saw the whole evolution. And this is one more step that we're really excited to see happen, and we'll try to overcome the challenges that go with it.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Jeff. So the agenda today is we're going to discuss about, why going to UNX, how to go to UNX, and then there's a last part as well, because there are actually some customers as well that have got multi-source UNXs, and this also will be an issue with BI 2025. And then we'll take a couple of questions at the end, depending on time. And if we can't, we will be answering them after. So in terms of background, so how many years since UNX has been announced, Jeff?
It's been a while. It makes 13 years almost now. And it has evolved since then. And the UNVs, which are with us since 97, so that's incredibly long time, will be for the last time seen with 4.3. So in 2025, Business Intelligence 2025, UNVs will no longer be supported. And we should note as well that multi-source UNXs will also be dropped from BI 2025. So we'll have to prepare for that as well.
And then in terms of benefits of going to UNX, of course, outside that, you need to go to UNX now, so it's clear you can't wait on it anymore. What are the other advantages here?
Well, I must say, as a developer, I was really excited to see UNXs appear. There's a lot of features that make your life a lot easier as a developer and allow you to provide better experience to your web intelligence and other consumers of UNXs. You have standalone parameters. You have a much better management of list of values. You can use default values in your prompts, dynamic default values. And for developers, you have shared projects. It gives for, it allows for a much better management of the development side. Plus, if you want to connect to any of the modern databases, data sources like Snowflake or Amazon RDS, Redshift, what have you, that's your only way to go. So really, you'll like it, even if you're forced to do it. Yeah, it's still a good thing.
And definitely, Snowflake has been a key driver, in the past 2 years for sure, going to UNX. So the benefits of going to UNX as well, so we've covered, when you should do it now, you really should do this now. And in terms of when going there is typically, we suggest doing this before an upgrade, before doing a migration, because it's an environment that you control, that you understand well. So if there are some issues, it's very easy to pinpoint the, where problems are, where if you do an upgrade, a migration, then you do actually the UNV to UNX conversion, repointing, it's going to, there are going to be more variables, and yeah,
absolutely. You don't want to compound the complexity of a migration with this conversion.
Yeah, definitely. So JF as well. So what can you tell us about the key concepts of UNX?
Well, the fact that it's broken down in 3 separate elements is very useful, and those elements are reusable. So the connection, that was already the case in the old paradigm, but now you have a separation between the data foundation, which is the tables, columns, and joins that you use on the one hand, and the business layer. In other words, that kind of negates or reduces the need for linked universes in the sense that you can have a data foundation that covers a lot of ground, and then you can have specialized business layers for different use cases. And in passing, the terminology has changed for a few things. So classes are now called folders. We renamed some types of other artifacts, but essentially the concept remains the same, as you can see on the screen right now.
Okay, so over the years, like we've been involved in hundreds of migrations, conversions, migrations, probably thousands, in fact, and we've been involved in hundreds and hundreds of conversions from going from UNV to UNX. And basically what we've done here is we're going to present you the methodology leveraging 360, Wiiisdom 360 suite on how to successfully and with a very high level of trust, basically how to go from UNV to UNX. So this methodology is going to be in 6 points. So let's, as any migration, any conversion. So the first point, it's all about the backup. So what can you tell us about that, JF?
Well, if you use 360 Suite to run your backups, you have a very powerful solution at your fingertips. First of all, the backups are inherently full, but also incremental. So in other words, it does the minimum of work necessary to maintain a complete full backup of your system. But at the same time, it allows you to do object level restore. So if you ever suffered through having to restore a single object, let's say a document, from a traditional file and database backup, that it, unless it's vital for the company, it's not practical. You just don't do it. In 360 Suite, we're able to do that very easily with just a right click and restore any documented universe, access level, you name it. Plus, we have what we call a real recycle bin. So first of all, it keeps everything, not just documents and universes, but all the other elements of business objects as well. It doesn't expire. I mean, you can recover pretty much anything that was deleted over time. And just in passing, I mean, it's not directly related to our subject today, but you can also use the 360 plus backups or the 360 Suite backups to replicate environments or do a full rollback, in case of a major disaster.
And just on that, it just reminds me, we were talking actually with Jeff, to a customer like 2 weeks ago, who had actually some issues in the conversion of his universes. And actually, he was forced to have a certain level of rollback that he could do with us. So because for some reason in his scenario, there were some issues and he had to redo the process. So that was actually that was his get out of jail, or his card to get out of jail for free, basically, there, where it was very easy for him to roll back on it. So okay. And then the second step, it's about the assessment. So what do we do in terms of assessment, and why is that important, JF?
Well, let's start with the why. We want to make sure that we do not handle unnecessary content. So we'll do a cleanup. We'll see how that happens in the next step. So, but we first of all have to figure out what needs to be done, and also let me go back to the solution itself. So with 360 Suite, we're able to extract pretty much all information about your environment. That is, on the one hand, the metadata, what you would see in the CMC. So where are the documents, what universes are there, but also we're able to cross-reference all that. So we can say, what universe is used by what document uses what universe, conversely. But also, we can go deeper. We can look at the contents of the documents, and specifically in this context, we can also identify through the auditing information the usage of the documents, how frequently they're used and how many people use them, etc. But more importantly, when they're not used. And you see in our little screenshot here, we have a couple of documents that are not used. Well, they're extremely strong candidates for being dropped from the conversion or being included in the cleanup.
Yeah, so because definitely here is don't convert basically what you're not using. You're just wasting a lot of time. In addition here, so I see you see the inventory of all the Webby per universe. So of course, you're going to get a count of how many universes you have and, that you need to convert. And then after that, you have to do the repointing and you need to check how many Webbies you have there. The other good part here is you can actually do a comparison using that assessment. Once you're done with your project, you can actually just make sure that you listed that you have the same count on both sides. So what was before basically in UNV is now in UNX and it has completely been converted. Okay. So let's go to step number 3, cleanup. So I know we briefly addressed that before, so.
Yes, so several aspects to that, right? It will definitely reduce the workload if we do some cleanup. There's less to do. It will also improve troubleshooting just because you will have a much clearer situation. Will remove obsolete stuff in general. So in this case, objects, universes. And also, if you're in a cloud environment, even more so, it will reduce the footprint, the volume that is occupied, and again, space in the cloud is expensive. So we will have a number of options. The most obvious one is you can just delete stuff, but usually that may be frowned upon. We want to make sure we archive stuff, and we provide a way to archive content in bulk. So we will flag the resources that we've identified on step 2 that are not used or are obsolete, and we will simply archive them outside the platform mostly, and get that out of the way for the following steps.
Okay, very good. Okay, so let's go to the next step here. So step number 4 is about the conversion. So what I just want to insist, you've got 2 different steps. So you have the conversion of your UNVs to UNX, and you've got the repointing. So the first step here is about the conversion.
Yes. So what happens is, well, it's called a conversion, and that's actually exact. But you have to realize that it creates a new copy in the new format for your universe. So after conversion, you will basically have 2 versions. You have the old UNV and the new UNX. Conversion is actually a fairly simple process to do by hand. But if you have a few dozen or a few hundred universes, it can become quite cumbersome. So we offer a bulk conversion solution here. Basically, you select all the UNVs that you want to convert, press a button, and their UNX equivalents will be generated, as I said, in bulk behind the scenes.
Okay. And yeah, so everything here can be done in bulk. In terms of the repointing, so here, just that today, like again, we've been involved in so many projects. If you want to do this manually, basically, it's going to take you, I think, conservatively 12 minutes per report. So it is extremely time consuming. So here, this can be done in bulk. Can you describe us, what happens here, Jeff?
Yes. So just want to re-emphasize what was said at the previous step. That is, we have not converted in place the existing universes. We have merely created a new version of the universe. So what that means is that your existing Webby documents will still be pointing to the old UNV. So we need to go one by one into those Webby documents, and for each data provider, for each query that is in the Webby, we'll have to switch them to the new flavor of the universe. And as you just said, Bruno, that can be very time consuming. If you look at all the time from opening the document, doing the switch, you can have multiple data providers, and saving it. It can take, a solid handful of minutes, and it's extremely time consuming. I mean, you know how many documents you have, and it's not just 5, it's hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands. And Bruno, I know you will talk about that later, so I will just move on to the system.
Yeah,
so,
and there's one thing. Yeah, go ahead. You still want to say a couple of things here, Jeff?
Yes, so I just wanted to point out that we are going to do all that repointing in bulk. So we'll specify a target depending on how you want to organize your project. We can do it globally across the entire system, or we can target certain folders, certain groups of documents and whatnot, and just then press the trigger. And if necessary, we can adjust the parameters exactly the same way as you would do it manually, but run that on a large number of documents at once.
And note, we have some content to show you how to do that with Wiiisdom 360 Suite as well. So to show the entire process. And here as well, in terms of the bulk reporting, like I've seen with customers, you've got different flavors. So it's something you need to try at first to understand what is the best strategy for your deployment to go from UNV to UNX and then to repoint. Is that correct, Jeff?
Yes, absolutely. You're spot on with that.
Yeah, because sometimes it's the same solution does not work for everyone. So you need to spend some time on how to do it. And as a matter of fact, what we do with our team, with Jeff, with Evan, with Lisa, with Scott, with Maurizio, with Remy, what we do there is we're doing assessments with our customers and our prospects where we go in and then basically we do an assessment, an inventory of all the objects, all the universes that you have, all the reports that you need to be repointing as well. We look at the usage, the non-usage, and then basically we're going to help you determine how much time it's going to be needed to do this entire process. What are the costs also that are going to be associated to that? And also here in terms of strategy, we look into what is the best strategy for you basically to go from UNV to UNX, because again, there's always a little bit of a different flavor in each environment. So that's something that we would go through during that type of assessment. So in terms of testing, so you've done your conversion, you've done your reporting. Now, sometime Murphy's there and something goes wrong. So you need to make sure that you do the testing. What can you tell us about that?
Testing is essential because when you switch technologies like this, inevitably, there will be a few glitches here and there. I must say the conversion is pretty much reliable, but pretty much doesn't cut it. You have to be sure. And in certain cases, you may have discrepancies. So using the 360 suite, we're able to compare before and after the conversion, again, in bulk. You know how validating documents by hand is, impractical to say the least, and certainly not reliable. So by automating it, we ensure, that we don't miss anything. And basically, once you have selected a sample or everything for that matter that you want to compare, you will have one of two outcomes. Either they will be in that green category you see on the screenshot there, which means that they're 100% identical, no need to worry about it. Or they will be in that orange category, which means, there's some discrepancies. And then you can start examining that as you see the side-by-side comparison, both in the actual, raw data, the numbers, and any graphical, if you have charts and so on, such discrepancy will be detected as well. So a reliable and easy to use comparison of the before and after.
And here it's not like it's not like it's not like an Excel type of comparison. So what we do here is we truly compare the images before, after. We look at the data. Everything here is documented. So basically, every test that you do, you're going to have a proof that the test was done. So here, basically, you're going to be able to guarantee your entire migration process. Because the last thing that you want is you don't want your business users or anyone to say, look, it doesn't work, it's wrong. So here you're going to make sure that it's completely accurate. And the nice part out of it is once you've done this test once, the cool thing here is you could put it through a complete test pipeline where this type of test can run as often as you want for your next upgrade, or every week, whatever it is, to ensure that there are no issues with your report. And so here we show image regressions, data regression. Also, we're even comparing the amount of time it takes to execute, because sometimes one of the first regressions that users will see is it's taking longer. So here we're not showing it specifically here, but actually we would actually have the exact amount of time it took before, the amount of time it took after. And then additionally, on the top of that, we're even able to do metadata or regression testing there. And we're just able to say, hey, everything has been converted, and we can document all that at the metadata level as well. So this is extremely powerful and easy to use here. Okay, so here in terms of restoration and rollback, so.
Right, and in this particular case, we're just showing the individual restore. The rest is, I think, self-explanatory. The big disaster recovery, restore everything. In this case, we're showing that simply by right-clicking on any given object, in this case, document, we can display when they were backed up. So that means they were changed on those dates, and we can choose to restore them. We can restore and replace, overwrite, so your document is corrupted, or we can make a duplicate, so we can have side by side the current version and the one that was backed up. We can even compare them if necessary. And of course, there are options. You can restore the instances and what have you. This is extremely powerful.
So here, for example, this is like a project that was with a UNV-UNX project, and the customer was also going to Snowflake here. And just to give you an idea of the power behind is here, essentially during the assessment, we found out that the customer had 30,000 objects that had to be repointed. So today, to do this normally, and this is very conservative, he would have taken 7 days ballpark to understand, hey, I need to understand how many objects I have, understand what's inside, etc. So this is something conservative, 7 days, and with 360 Suite, we say it's like 1 day, but it's actually far less. After that, basically out of his 30,000 objects, he found out that he had 17,000 objects that were not used. So they're definitely, the customer here was not going to, he was not going to convert them. So here what we've done is we've done a pseudo archive. So we've hidden these objects from the users. And here, normally, if you do this by hands, it's about 100 days ballpark. And with us here, we say it's 6 days, but it's actually a lot less because it's all in bulk. It just at the end is, it's difficult to say it's going to be more than 95% saving. It's already huge. Additionally here, so the customer didn't have any multi-source UNXs. So what he did is he's going to convert and repoint with Wiiisdom 360 from UNV to UNX. So in this case here, he's got 13,000 objects, 12 minutes, and this is conservative. Normally it would take him, I think ballpark like 325 days. And with us, it's 17 days here. And actually it's even less than that. So there is a big saving on that. And of course, at the end is you've got to do the testing. So typically we recommend to test 10 to 20% of the reports. And in general, it takes conservatively 2 hours to test a report if you do a complete job. And this is extremely manual. And we'll bring that time from 3,000 days to 65 days. And then ultimately, when the entire process is entirely done, and you're confident that you've done your archiving properly, you need to delete the unused objects. So this is the type of process that we do and what we look into when we do an assessment. So you got a fair idea of how long it'll take. On this example here, this is actually from a case that we've done with a customer where here he had 12,000 documents. Actually, initially the customer had over 20,000 documents, but he determined that he only had 12,000 that were used. From there, based on metadata, the customer figured out, well, I've only got 240 documents these are my most critical documents based on metadata that I've extracted with 360. And basically from there, the customer is going to do some testing, and then he's going to determine, you know what, out of the testing, I see that 212 documents are fine, 28 are non-matching. So this was done, of course, after repointing. And from there on these 28, he finds out there is a calculation engine change. And then he performs impact analysis with Wiiisdom 360. And then he finds out that the same change here affects 596 reports. So he's leveraged the information he had here from the non-matching document, performs an impact analysis, figures out that he's got 596 other reports impacted. And then basically he does a bulk fix with 360. So again, this is extremely time saving here. Jeff, what can you tell us here just to close about multi-source UNX and why is it an issue?
Yes. So you've heard that in BI 2025, multi-source universes, that is UNXs, will no longer be supported. So you have three possible situations. First of all, you created your single source universes as normal. The other is that you're leveraging the actual multi-source with 2 or 3 databases in your universes. For those situations, well, the first one, there's nothing you need to do. For the second one, you will have to leverage one of the options that will be available in BI 2025, for example, merging separate queries in the data mode. But some of our customers have created their universe, they started their universes as multi-source, even though they were leveraging only a single source of data in those universes. They were doing that proactively. Unfortunately, it's a choice you make at the very beginning, and there's no going back. So how do you handle those multi-source universes that have a single source? Well, we offer, as part of the 360 suite, a conversion. So it's really, to my knowledge, the only way you can do it is through our solution. We will take those multi-source defined universes that contain a single source and convert them into single source, true single source UNX universes. You have to handle that before you go to BI 2020.
Yeah, and so that actually today we are the only third-party vendor to be doing that as well. So first, to be supported by SAP 100%, and then the other part here is we're the only ones to be doing such conversion. So I see, actually, that was funny enough, there was a question from Vincent. Is it possible to convert UNX multi-source to single source with only one connection? So yeah, it's something that you can do with 360. So we'll be more than happy to get back to you. If you got some questions on going to UNV to UNX, please ask your question here. We'll try to take them, and if we can't, we'll take them after. So we got a question from Srini. Yeah, I want to follow your conversion process. It's really cool. And then there's a question from one of the attendants here. So can the audit universe be more efficient to answer business questions like what web reports are actively used on a daily basis by providing the last refresh date? So I think the answer, JF, here is
a definite yes. Yes, we have all that information at our fingertips.
And in fact, we do recommend doing that because it's going to be definitely much more efficient. Number two, the question is impact analysis for table columns. What Webby reports are using a table column?
Yeah. Again, that's part of the regression testing set of template reports we provide. That is definitely provided.
Who the users are the active reports?
Also, yes, definitely.
And then, of course, how many times the reports has been refreshed?
Do I need to answer? It's yes.
There's a question from Hijali here. After reporting, is the difference between both versions of the report always due to calculation of the universe?
Well, in this particular case, yes, that would be the only reason. Everything else remains the same. But
I think it depends. I mean, that was the case here, but I think sometimes there are different flavors.
Yeah, yeah.
And the whole goal there is, Hijali is basically to catch what these flavors are. So, yeah, they're different cases. Let me, after converting lots of UNVs to UNX, do we need to resize the platform?
Not specifically. The resources consumed are roughly comparable. I mean, your mileage will vary, as they say, so it's a good thing to evaluate, but no, not significantly so.
Okay. Rajani, is the process of converting multi-data source UNX into single data source universe, do we need to recreate the data foundation layer manually?
So let's be clear, we're talking about single, let me rephrase that. We're talking about using a single data source.
What he's mentioned.
So no, absolutely not. You just run it through 360 Suite and everything else will be preserved.
Okay. Thanks for the insight. Okay, will there be a recording after the webinar? Yes, definitely. There will be a recording after the webinar. Yeah, there's a comment from John, and I get his point here. Loss of multi-source UNX in BI 2025 is very surprising, since Webby reporting based on multi-source is very common. So I don't have the explanation why here, but that's the way it's going, John, and I'm very sorry about it, and and I definitely understand your frustration about that. By the way, yeah, go ahead.
Just wanted to add that using multiple queries has been supported for a long time, and the data mode as it's evolving will alleviate a lot of that.